आज ही डाउटनट ऐप डाउनलोड करें। डाउटनट पर होगा अब आपके सभी मैथ्स, केमिस्ट्री, फिजिक्स और बायोलॉजी डाउट्स का सफाया। बस अपने क्वेश्चन की फोटो खींचो, उसे क्रॉप करो और तुरंत वीडियो सोल्यूशन पाओ। डाउनलोड नाउ।
Hello friends, welcome. The question state, what value must be excluded from the domain of f upon g of x? So this is a composite function, f upon g of x, which comprises of two functions, f and g. If f of x is equals to 3x square minus 4x plus 1 and g of x is equals to 3x square minus 3. So we have to find the value of this composite function, right? And we have been given the functions individually. So let us first find the value of composite functions. So we have f of x is equals to 3 of x square minus 4x plus 1 directly from the question. And we have g of x is equals to 3x square minus 3, right? So it has been said what is the value of f upon g of x, which is a composite function. So this can be written as f of x upon g of x. Very simple, right? So f of g of x is nothing but fx upon gx. Now if we substitute these values here, what do we get? 3x square minus 4x plus 1 from here, which was given in the question, upon we have the value of gx, which is equals to 3x square minus 3, right? Now the question says what value must be excluded from the domain of f upon g of x. So now we have obtained the function which is f upon g of x. So we have to find the value which must not be in the domain of this function, whose value is this. Now whenever we have to find the domain of a particular function, the only thing we need to do is to check the denominator. If by any means this denominator becomes 0, those values of x are not in the domain of that particular function. Now why? Because if the denominator is equals to 0, that means the numerator will have some value. So it becomes a by 0. And we know that division by 0 is not defined. In mathematics, division by 0 is not defined. So the denominator cannot be 0 in any case, because then it becomes something divided by 0, which is not defined in maths, right? So this thing must not be equal to 0, right? So, and we have to check the denominator all the time whenever it says check for a domain of particular function, right? So let us check the denominator. So we have 3x square minus 3 not equals to 0, right? Because division by 0 is not defined, so this is not equal to 0, right? So if we divide both sides by 3, we obtain, now this becomes 3x square upon 3, so what remains is x square minus, and 3 upon 3 is 1, is not equal to 0, because 0 by 3 is 0 simply, right? Now let us add 1 to both the sides so that this minus 1 gets cancelled out. So we have x square is not equal to 1, right? Because this minus 1 is cancelled out and here we get a plus 1. So we get x square is not equal to 1. Or we could say, taking roots on both the sides, right? We could say x is not equal to plus minus 1, because the square of 1, which either plus 1 or minus 1, will yield 1. So square root of 1 is plus minus 1, and square root of x square is simply x, right? So that means that the value of x for which this term is becoming 0 should have been plus minus 1. And hence, since this should not be equal to 0, since this denominator should not be equal to 0, x should not be equal to plus minus 1, because division by 0 is not defined. This is very important, right? So we say that x is not equal to plus minus 1. So what value must be excluded from the domain of this particular function, which we obtained to like this? The value that is being actually excluded is this thing that we have obtained. X is not equal to plus minus 1. That means plus minus 1 is excluded. And checking with the options, we see that this matches with option D, which is both plus minus 1. So we say the correct answer to this particular question is option D, which is both plus minus 1, which is not in the domain of f upon g of x. That is it guys. Thank you for watching.
क्लास 6 से 12 से लेके नीट IIT जेई मेंस और एडवांस के लेवल तक 10 मिलियन से ज्यादा स्टूडेंट्स का भरोसा। आज ही डाउनलोड करें डाउटनेट ऐप या व्हाट्सएप कीजिए अपने डाउट्स 8400 400 400 पर।